The Chiefs and the 49ers are going to do battle this weekend, 4:25 Eastern on Sunday, and it is going to be one hell of a game. We've got a special guest here for this week's set of previews, but first of all, what do we think are going to be the keys to the game? Because one team likes to run the ball, one team doesn't like to give people to allow people to run the ball. So, as our esteemed guest, Gnome, lead us in.
Yeah, so I think in this game it's going to be really interesting. I love the Kansas City run defense. I mean, they're just so good at getting into that backfield and really penetrating the offensive line. I think it's going to really come down to how the 49ers are able to manipulate their receivers. Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk are going to have to be big parts of this game. I know Juwan Jennings is a little questionable. I do expect him to play, but it's going to have to be a Kyle Shanahan-led offense where they manipulate the line, get defensive players out of position. That opens up holes for Jordan Mason to use. I know they've been utilizing Deebo Samuel in the backfield quite a bit this year. He's been averaging somewhere around 6 carries a game, which is obviously not new to him, but that workload is a lot higher. I think I'm just impressed on how the Chiefs have been able to win these games. Like, they're down. We were thinking about their offensive talent. They're just down on so many guys, and yet they still find a way to win. Obviously, Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, they're two key players over the last 5 years. They're both healthy. Their defense is pretty much completely healthy. So, again, I think if the 49ers want to have a chance to win this game, I think they need to manipulate the defensive line of the Chiefs and create those holes for Jordan Mason with the wide receiver movement.
I think, so one thing I'll add to the injury situation with the Chiefs, obviously we know that Rice, Hollywood Brown, they're gone in terms of injury, right? And then Juju Smith-Schuster just got added today to the injury report. I saw a report about that. So that wide receiver room is pretty much decimated. They're going to have to run the ball heavily, and they're going to have to rely on their trio of tight ends now, because they don't just throw to Travis only. They throw to all three of them.
Yeah, Travis Kelce has had like a fairly slow start to the season. I think he's holding around like 16 receptions, averaging like 79 receiving yards per game. So this could be one of those games where, he's going to get his targets. He's been asking for it like all season long. And if anything, this is the game where he has to show, like, has he still got it? I mean, he has got it, but he's going to have to show out in this game. That being said, I really want to see how Fred Warner kind of matches up, because he's been playing lights out. And a lot of people are saying, like, this matchup, this could be like, I know Travis is definitely going to end up in the hall, but there's a lot of people saying if Fred Warner stays consistent the remainder of his career, he could be that guy. So this could be one of those things where you look back and you're like, bro, these are two Hall of Famers going at it right now. So I'm looking forward to that. If Travis has a good game, in my opinion, the Chiefs just find a way to win. I think it's that championship moxie. Like, they don't panic. They seem to actually play every game one down after another. Like, I think a lot of the teams sometimes get caught saying, all right, we're going to do this the whole quarter, or they're always trying to think 4 series ahead. But the Chiefs, it seems as though if things aren't going their way, they sort of like rewrite the ship, and they're like one down at a time, and that's how they stay in the game. It's hard to describe really, because they shouldn't be with the
They shouldn't.
They shouldn't be
5-0 at the moment, because they've had some fortune go their way. Most definitely, you can count. Was it? They could have easily have been 2-3 by now, right?
Yep.
If you look at the games that they've played against, was it the Bengals? Against was it the Bengals?
Yeah, you got Bengals, Falcons.
Ravens. Yeah, Bengals, Ravens, and Falcons. They could have easily lost all 3 games.
Yeah.
But here they are, 5-0, and this game is in San Francisco. Well, in Santa Clara. It's not in San Francisco. But It's in the Bay Area, and I still think the 49ers can do it, but it's just whether they don't, they avoid shooting themselves in the foot. Whichever all the other teams have managed to do at some point in the games, they've shot themselves in the foot, and then the Chiefs just capitalized on it.
Yeah, I think Shanahan has to play to win the game as opposed to not lose it, because I think that's his thing. Like every time he's in these big games, he seems to find a way to like be perhaps a bit too conservative, and with a lot of teams that might work, but not against the Chiefs. Like they're always in it. You can have a 3-score lead, 10 minutes left, and it's just another day in the office for the Chiefs. So he's got to play to win it. And he's got to be willing to sort of make Brock Purdy complete those throws. Like he's got to make those throws early, and it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy, but the 49ers should win this game on paper. On paper.
Due to who is still healthy, correct?
Yeah.
And if you look at it, both teams can stop the run. Both of them. So if you look at the yards per game, Kansas is 5th in the league, and the Niners are 7th. Now, as we know that the Chiefs' recipe for success generally of late has been through the run game. So something's going to have to give, because both teams like to run the ball. Otherwise, we're just going to get into a defensive kind of like scramble, and it's going to be who kicks field goals better. Could come to that as well.
If Carson Steele fumbles the ball, I'm rooting for the guy. But if Carson Steele fumbles the ball this game,
again,
I think he had a fumble. And like defenses do pick up on that stuff, so they're going to be trying to.
Fred Warner with a peanut punch, maybe.
Yeah. So it could come down to that. Like whichever team wins the turnover battles or sneaks a possession, it could kind of sort of lead off that. So it's going to be really interesting. They've just got to play like a clean game, and then it's going to be tight either way. But if you win the turnover battle here, it could be costly.
Do you know the mad thing? So you talk about the turnover battle, and so no, Mahomes has not been good this season, right? Not one bit.
I mean, in terms of hanging onto the football, no, he's turned the ball over.
Their takeaway differential is -4 on the season.
Mm-hmm.
They're 27th in the league in terms of turnover differential, right? And they're 5-0. So they are winning it without, not purely through turning the ball over, but just by, even if you turn the ball over on them, we're still not going to give you points. Spagnuolo is winning them these games. Now, if we look, so I'm going to say it. I'm going to say that the Chiefs are going to lose their first game this season. So that's my prediction.
I think you have that possibility of happening, but one thing that worries me about the 49ers is they get these leads, and they've had some of these leads, especially against the Cardinals and the Rams, where they, in the second half, almost get kind of complacent and let the other team sneak back in, and then push comes to shove, you don't have the momentum in those key spots, and you go 3 and out, you give the other team the ball with a chance to win the football game. And I think that's something Shanahan has to work with his team. I think he was happy with how the game ended against the Seahawks, but at the same time, you started to see that same thing start to creep in, right? They had a multiple score lead, and you let the Seahawks bring it back.
We happened to be in the same call watching, like we were watching the games, and I was like, all right, I'm going to bed. And then I woke up, I was like, what happened when I went to sleep?
It's one of those where you head for like a late night toilet break, and you're just on your phone, and you're like, wait, what? I thought this game was put away. You know what I mean? But that's Carl Shannon for you, man.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, in these second halves, like, I mean, they got shut out 14-0 against the Cardinals in the second half. And then when they played the Rams, they lost the second half by touchdown. So they really got to figure out how to lock
close
down
the game
these
out,
games.
right?
If they're behind, I think that might almost give them a better chance in this football game. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to come down, but if you give Mahomes the ball to win the game, he is going to do that. I don't care who's his receivers right now. It's just what the guy's capable of doing. Get the ball into Butker's range, which is anything 55 or in. So, yeah.
So, prediction. Well, who's going to win it? Just name the team.
I mean, this is kind of like your brain's telling you the 49ers, but your heart's kind of like, I'm going to go with the Chiefs here, only because I've seen this play out from a Kyle Shanahan standpoint. The old like mantle he gets, like, oh, he's not a winner, like he's really good, great mind, but he just can't win it when it matters the most. You know what I mean? So it's going to be close, but I'm going to go with the Chiefs. It might not even be by a whole score either. I think it's going to be tight.
You know what I mean?
I'm going to take the 49ers in this spot. This, to me, screams 49ers want to make a statement against the best team that they see in football. I don't think the Chiefs care if they lose this game. This does not really affect them in that regard.
It doesn't affect them in terms of like the end of the season because they're going to be there.
Yeah, and it all depends how the Niners come out. If the Niners come out and they're clicking on offense, they're playing good on defense, like I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs kind of just, go out there, run their offense, try to keep guys healthy as best they can. But if this game is close towards the end, I mean, I can definitely see the Chiefs pulling it out. But I think the Niners are going to take a 2-score lead into halftime probably, and then try to close it out from there. So I'm going to take the Niners in this game, tight game, 3-point game probably.
So one statistical nugget: Kansas has given up 17 points per game on average this season. That's going to be.
It's pretty good.
That's a pretty damn good defensive side of the ball. So I think it's going to be a bit of a slugfest, but it could turn into an NFL punt zone in red zone or in the late slate. But let's see how that game actually goes.